Hi, my name is Beverly and I'm going to show you how to make my soup recipe. The first thing you have to do is to wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water. I'll just go and do that now. Taking out the ingredients. The first thing to do is take out all the ingredients so you don't miss any. Fridge drawer. I'll firstly take out the ingredients from the fridge drawer. Two large onions. Three large carrots. About 2 or 3 zucchinis. Two cloves of garlic. Just half a fennel bowl. And that's it for the fridge drawer. The fridge shelves and door. We now take out some ingredients from the fridge shelves and the door. We have the ginger in the fridge door. We just need 1 slice of this. Some celery. We only use half a bunch of celery. Sweet potato chips from the fridge. Soaked dried mushrooms. Some cuttlefish balls. Some tomato paste. It's always in this container. On this top shelf is some tofu. And that's all from the fridge, shelves and door. The cupboard. We now take out some ingredients from the cupboard. Two cans of condensed soup. These have different flavours. The soup packet mix of chicken noodle soup. Two boxes of real chicken stock. And that's the ingredients from the cupboard. Mixed herbs. We also need the ingredient which is in the spices box, and that is the mixed herbs. We need about 3 teaspoons of this, but we'll set it aside with the other ingredients for now. Checking the recipe. After you've got out all the ingredients, it's good just to check the recipe that you have all the ingredients out now. I'll just do that now. It looks like it's all there. Taking out the equipment. We'll now take out all the equipment that we need for this recipe. Firstly, we need a pot. We use this biggest pot with the silver handle. There's another pot in there, but that's smaller. Make sure you use the big pot. We then go to this cupboard. We get out the vegetable chopper. We'll just put it here for now. The chopping board. We'll put here. Close this. The large knife in the top drawer. The large silver spoon. The soup timer. And also up here is a cooler rack. And those are the main things that we need. We now prepare all the ingredients for the soup. Carrots. I'll show you how to prepare the carrots. We'll take one. We'll wash it in some cold water. I've just provided a bowl here so it's closer to the vegetables. We'll wipe it with this cloth. We'll chop off the top. We'll go over here to the freezer. This is a bag for the vegetable scraps. Then we chop the carrot in 3 parts. And then halve it lengthwise. Then we'll take the board over here to the vegetable chopper. We just take one piece. The curved side should be down because that's much easier to do. We'll fit it in there and just holding it like this, we just rock it to and fro and it will be diced. I'll do another one. I'll take a piece, curved side down, inside, just one at a time. Hold your left hand at the top, right hand, and use your body weight to rock it up and down. I'll just do one more for you. One piece with the curved side down, left hand on top, right hand on the handle. Use your body weight, rocking it up and down. So that is a much quicker way to dice all your vegetables. If you do it by hand, it will take a lot longer, probably 3 times longer. So I like you to use this vegetable chopper for most of the vegetables. You do the rest of the carrots in the same way. That's 3 carrots altogether. Zucchinis. How to chop and prepare the zucchinis. I'll take one. I'll wash it in the bowl of water. I'll dry it with the cloth. We'll chop off the end and put it in the freezer garbage scraps bag. We'll then chop it into 3 parts and then down the middle, long ways. We'll then bring the whole board over to here. And again, we'll take one piece, curved side down, holding this way, and then chopping. Zucchinis are softer, so we can try 2 pieces. Left hand at the top, right hand at the bottom, rocking motion, chop. I'll just do one more. One piece, curve side down, and press down. And then you can do the rest of the zucchinis in this same way. Celery. Preparing and chopping the celery. Here is a whole bunch. You only use half a bunch of celery. So I'll just cut it in half. You can put that aside for next time. I'll chop off the end. Put it in the freezer garbage bag. I'll just prepare one shoot for you, but you will have to prepare the whole thing, of course. I'll just wash it a bit in the water provided. We'll dry it with this cloth a bit. I'll cut it in chunks which can fit the vegetable chopper, about that size. It's about 6 to 7 centimetres long. I'll put the leaves into the soup as well. So I'll just chop the leaves myself, because it will just get mangled in the chopper. So I've chopped these in chunks. If you get a large piece like this, it's always a good idea to chop it in half to be thin, because if you put this whole piece in, it is very hard to get through the vegetable chopper. So I'll bring this over here again. Take this half. Always put the celery pieces curved side down, otherwise the strings get caught in the chopper and there'll be a bit of a problem. Another piece, curved side down, just rocking motion. I'll do one more piece. In there, like that. If you ever find that it's a bit hard to push down, just keep on using the rocking motion and with your body weight, and eventually it will cut. So then you prepare the rest of the half bunch of celery in the same way. Garlic and ginger. Preparing the garlic and ginger. I'll take 2 cloves of garlic. I'll chop off the ends. You can peel them. This in the freezer garbage. You can squash it with a knife. This helps get all the juices out. There's some skin again. And then I'll chop it into very fine bits. Just be careful of your fingers. It's always good to hold your fingers like that with your nails near the knife. And then from this bag we had some ginger. We just use about 2 slices is enough. Put the rest in the bag. I don't normally peel the skin off this. And then I just chop this in very tiny parts again. Remember, have your fingernails facing the knife. Right, and then later we'll put this in the pot. Fennel. Preparing the fennel. You just use half a fennel. This has already been cut in half. I'll get rid of the fur. We don't need that. Just put this in our freezer garbage bag again. And we can just wash it a bit, if you like. Dry it with a towel. We can chop off any dead parts or anything that's gone a bit brown. And we'll chop the end off. Put this in here. And we'll just, again, chop it into chunks which can fit into the vegetable chopper. I usually include the stems, 6 to 7 centimetres, maybe smaller. Let me see. I'll chop it into about 2 to 3 centimetre slices. Just small enough so it can fit into the vegetable chopper. So we'll see how we go with this. We'll bring this over to the vegetable chopper. And just always start small. Put one in there. Rocking motion. We'll try one of these bigger pieces. Let's see how we go. Another one. So the fennel is a bit softer, fortunately. I'll just do one more. And that's how you prepare and chop the fennel. So you can prepare the rest of the fennel in the same way. Onions. Preparing the onions. I have sensitive eyes, so I like to wear goggles when I do this. You can find a pair in the third drawer in the kitchen. Here. I'll just put them on now. I'll take off my glasses. Put this on. So make sure they're on tight. That's if you need to wear them. Now, with the onion, you chop off the ends first. Just be careful with your fingers. Put a slit down the side so then you can peel it easily. Put that in the freezer garbage bag again. Then you can rest it in a stable position and cut it in half. Let me see. And then you can cut it in slices, about quite thick slices. I think I'll just have to do it in two here because that's well enough for the chopper. Here, perhaps I'll try cutting it in two again. See how we go. I'll bring it over to the chopper. So I'll take one chunk and put it in. Rocking motion again, and it goes down. Fortunately, the onions are soft. Rocking motion if you need to. And you can just shake this so that it all goes down to the bottom. I'll do another one. It goes down quite easily. And the last one. Right. So I'll take these off now. I will. So that's how you prepare the onions. So you can prepare the other onion in the same way. Tofu. Preparing the tofu. You'll find the tofu in a packet like this. So you can go to the top drawer with the white scissors. The white scissors is for any wet things and food. You cut it open. Cut it a bit more so we can take it out. Then I'll just go to the sink and just drain any juices that may come out. And we'll take it out of the packaging. With the packaging, I just rinse it a bit and just leave it on the rack to dry before I put it in the garbage, because I don't like to put wet things in the garbage. I'll take this back over to the board. And so what I do, this is quite thin, I firstly cut it through the middle, like that. So you have two pieces like that, keep them together. Then I cut them in rows. Just careful of your fingers. And then I'll turn it around and cut it into cubes. There. This then just goes straight into the pot. Mushrooms and cuttlefish balls. How to prepare the mushrooms and cuttlefish balls. There's usually a cup of dry Chinese mushrooms in the fridge for you. There's a bit of liquid, so I will just go to the sink first and just pour off the liquid because we don't need that. And all we do is we take each mushroom and slice it into small slices, just like that. And I'll take another one. You can take this off first if you like. And slice this. And then you just cut the rest of the mushrooms in a similar way from the cup. The cuttlefish balls, you just take them and slice them into small pieces. It's about 1/2 centimetre thick, and then you can just cut them perhaps into quarters like that. Just do the last one in quarters. I'll just do one more. Cut them in slices, about 1/2 centimetre each, and you could do 2 at once. Cut them in quarters. And you cut the rest of the cuttlefish balls in the same way. These just then go straight into the pot. Sweet potato chips. Preparing the sweet potato chips. These are the sweet potato chips which are already provided for you. They're from the supermarket. You don't need to chop these at all. And also never put them in the chopper because then they'll just turn into a mush. They just go straight into the soup pot, like that. Other ingredients. Once you've chopped all those vegetables, you put them straight into the pot. And then we put in some of the other ingredients. For instance, the tomato paste. I'll just go over here to get a spoon. We'll put that straight into the pot. Mixed herbs. I'll get another teaspoon. I'll do this. And I'll put 3 teaspoons in. 1, 2, 3. That's of our mixed herbs. We then get our packet of chicken noodle soup. We go to the top drawer, there's a scissors. This scissors is for paper products. Just cut off a corner. That straight into the pot. And then we also put in the cans of condensed soup. I'll just get a bigger spoon and you pour that straight into the pot. Noodles in this one. The remnants as much as you can. And this is tomato condensed soup. I just use different flavours each time. But I'll provide you with the cans of soup to use. So we put those in. Now with the last ingredient, the real chicken stock, never put this straight into the pot. Instead, we boil it in the kettle first. So that's what I'll show you in another segment. So that's how you put in all the other ingredients. Boiling the water and stock. The 2 stock boxes. You have 2 boxes of chicken stock here. Shake them up first so that the residue can be evenly distributed. Then what we do, I open them up, and we pour them into these 2 kettles so we can bring it to boiling temperature. I'll put one in. Put the other in. Just make sure it doesn't go over the maximum height. So that's about reached the maximum level already. So I'll close that. So I'll pour the rest in the second kettle. Since we haven't filled it up right to the top, what we do, we go to the sink and fill the rest of the kettle so it reaches up to the maximum level. Now with these stock boxes, I just usually rinse them a bit. And then I'll leave it on the sink rack to dry. I'll rinse this one. And leave that to dry. So I like to wash and dry them before I put them into the garbage. Now we have 2 full kettles of stock and water. We now have to boil them. When you boil them, you have to boil each kettle one at a time, because if you try to boil both of them at the same time, it will cut off the power in the house. But that's not a big thing. I just go to the fuse box to turn it back on again. But that's why when you put these on, just boil them one at a time. So I'll just put one on for now. Now with this boiling process, we have to boil enough kettles so that it fills this pot to reach only about 2 centimetres from the top. It takes about 4 kettles to fill this pot. It takes a bit of time for such full kettles to boil, so while you're waiting, you can do some washing up or prepare another recipe. Pouring the first 2 kettles. We now have 2 kettles of boiling water, including the stock. So I'll pour the first one in. to the pot of ingredients and vegetables. I'll then go over to get the second kettle, which has been boiled, and I'll put it into the pot again. We put the lid on so that we can retain the heat of the boiling water. We won't turn the stove on yet. Then I'll fill the two kettles with cold water again. We go up to the maximum point. I'll fill the second kettle with cold water. We'll fill it up to the maximum point again. And we'll proceed to boil these. Remember, boiling them one at a time. We can't boil them both at once. I'll put this on here and I'll turn that on. Pouring the second lot of two kettles. We've now boiled another set of two kettles full of water. So I'll proceed now to pour them into the pot. Oops, it does drip a bit. Just be careful of that. I'll pour the second kettle in. That's nearly full, about 2 centimetres from the top now. So it didn't end up taking a full 4 kettles. Now what we have to do is to turn on the stove. Right, I'll just wipe it a bit here of the moisture. So I'll just choose the right hot plate. So what we do, you can just come over here and I'll turn on the gas stove. What I do, I have to always push it down and then turn to the left. And we put it on high, which is the big star. Now you'll notice, even though we poured boiling water into the pot, it's not boiling and bubbling straight away. So what we have to do, after we've filled the pot with the boiling water, we now have to bring it back up to boiling on the stove where it's bubbling. This will take some time. It often has taken about 20 minutes to bring to boil again. So what I'll do, I'll take this soup timer and set it to 20 minutes so that I can do other things while I'm waiting for it to boil. I'll just turn this down a bit so it's not so noisy. Yeah. Now the way you use this is you press both of them together to set it back to naught. Then you press the right button to set how many minutes you want. So we want about 20 minutes. So I'll set it to 20. There. Now to turn it on, you press this button here, and when the dots are flashing, you know it's on. If the dots are not flashing, then you know it has not been set. So I've now set it to 20 minutes. We'll just leave it aside because it does take quite a while to reboil again. Then while you're waiting, you can do other things like washing up or starting another recipe. Once the pot is boiling, you'll see here now, if you come closely, that the pot has been brought to the boil and it's now boiling very vigorously. You can get close there just to see the boil. What we do now is that we have to boil it like that for 15 minutes. So we'll take the timer again. We'll put it back to naught by pressing both buttons together. We press the minute button for the time we want, which is 15 minutes. Once we've set it, then we press the grey button to turn it on. Once the dots are flashing, you know the timer is on. If the dots are not flashing, you know it hasn't been set yet. So we'll now set that aside and make sure during the whole 15 minutes that the water is boiling vigorously, that it's bubbling. It's not just simmering at a low heat. The reason is that we're just cooking it for a short time, so we want it to maximise the heat of that short time. Also make sure when you're boiling it for 15 minutes that the lid is off so it doesn't boil over. Turn off the heat. Now that the pot has been boiling for 15 minutes and it's still boiling, you can now turn off the heat. So what you always do with the gas knobs is to push it down first and then to the right to turn it off. Then what we do, we get the lid and we put it on, and then we can transfer it to the cooling rack. So I'll just do that now. Oh, it's a bit hot, so just be careful. And a bit heavy. Oh, there we go. And then you just allow it to sit in its own heat. And that's all you have to do to cook the soup. Storing equipment. After the soup is cooked, later on in the day, I will transfer it into storage containers. So it's good for you just to take out these containers so that they're ready for me. They're in this cupboard here. You take out these empty orange bottles. You take out about 4 of them. 2, 3, and another one. And then you can take out one of these ice cream containers, one oblong one, and then this square one. This is for me to store the vegetables from the soup. I'll then go over here. In this corner cupboard, there's a handle colander. You can put it over here for me. And then over here, in this cupboard, I'll take out these plastic bowls. This just helps me to drain the soup in it. And of course I will need this as well. And that is how you take out the storage equipment. Washing up. I'll show you the method that I use to wash up. Normally there is the old water. So you can empty the old water, which is a bit used already. Rinse the dish, empty the used old rinse water, which will probably be a bit brown. You just take a few drops of the detergent, put it in the dish. You don't need a lot because it is concentrated, and you can fill this with some hot water. The hot is just the extreme left-hand side. Stir it up a bit. Oh, sorry. Then we'll get this plug, put it in the rinse water, rinse the sink a bit, put the plug in, and we'll fill the rinse sink with cold water. So I'll just do that now. You don't have to fill it right up to the top. I just usually fill it to, say, 7 centimetres or so. Now that we have the new water, the soapy water and rinse water ready, the way we wash up is, I'll just get this as a sample. If there's any food scraps or food sources gunk on it, we just rinse it off a bit under the cold tap, and then we wash it with the soapy water well, and then we rinse it in the sink and we put it on the drainer to dry. And then we just use that system where we rinse any food scraps just with a little bit of cold water into the soapy water, just dip it into the rinse water and to drain it on the sink strainer. And that's how you do the washing up.